January, that's when the judging will begin. So each of the entries will be judged by a panel of judges, and then we'll announce the winners in April 2022 at an event, and we'll give you the details of that event soon. And then in May is the time period where we plan to have the winners flown to New York and DC to present to the panel of leaders, and then in August on to the Bahamas. So exciting timeline to come. I'm showing you a screenshot of the actual challenge website, and that is being hosted by HeroX. That's who facilitates the challenge on our behalf. And you can get to the challenge website by going through Base 11 Digital. And again, base11.com/digital will get you there. So we're so excited about you jumping in to the Parity Project Innovation Challenge, advancing your career. And hey, I think you'll probably come up with a proposal that will help advance and achieve parity for Black America by 2030. Can't wait to see you in the challenge.
Thank you, Landon and Dwayne. Of course, the Parity Project Parity Project Innovation Challenge, as Dwayne said, say that again, sounds incredible, and we're excited to see it come to fruition. And of course, to see what innovative ideas come from the Boulé Base 11 fellow candidates as they just develop solutions to solve parity. I also hope that all the audience is inspired, or as Landon would say, fired up about the challenges they heard and the opportunities that they present. Now we're going to go through some Q&A again. If you haven't already entered your questions, please do so. Again, the Q&A box is on the side of your video within your screen. And then in addition to the speakers that we just heard regarding the innovation challenges, we're also joined by Kyla Jeffrey, the VP of Customer Success at HeroX, and Stacy Brenner, the HR Director for Thermo Fisher Scientific. Thank you both for joining us. All right, Kyla, I'm going to go ahead and kick our first question off to you, since it's more of a general question for challenges, if you will. The question is, beyond the opportunity to win a prize, why would I be encouraged as a student, if I'm busy with work and, of course, school, to participate in an innovation challenge like this?
That is a fantastic question. Thanks, Tennille. We see time and time again that people are participating in innovation challenges for reasons other than the cash prizes. Even if you don't win, there is so much value you can get from participating in one of these innovation challenges. We know that employers are looking for real life experience, and these challenges are a fantastic way for you to start getting that while you're still in university and start getting that hands-on academic experience. It's also a great opportunity for networking. You'll get connected to other brilliant students working on these same challenges, as well as the sponsors that are hosting them. In addition to those, there are other incentives that we're offering beyond the cash prizes. Things like internship and employer interviews to be able to connect you to fantastic employers like Dassault Systèmes, hosting webinars for learning and other training and education. So there's tons of value in them. It's a great way to really kickstart what you could do in your career and gain some hands-on experience.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Kyla. I appreciate it. Al, I'm going to go ahead and kick our next question over to you, and it must be a true engineer, STEAM professional and or student asking this question. So the question is the mobility challenge totally open-ended, or how creative can we get with the design for the mobility challenge?
Thanks, Tennille. That's a great question, and I love it that someone is so pumped up that they're thinking already about what they're going to be doing. It's perfect. It is open-ended in terms of the types of innovations you might come up with. We are giving you a model, though, to work from. So we've hollowed out a model of a vehicle, a very simple vehicle. There's no interior. And so then you can start from that. And when you go to the landing page, you'll see that there's instructions. You can't touch the gray areas indicated in gray because that's vehicle infrastructure. But beyond that, you can do anything you imagine in the time frame that we've given you. We've also the challenge will run for 12 weeks. We wanted something that you and a colleague or a couple colleagues could develop with a few days of work. So while you can spend 12 weeks on it, you're welcome to do that. We're not expecting that you put 12 weeks of work into this. So the answer is there's no constraints on the types of innovations. There are some rules in terms of the model you'll start working from. And as we said earlier, 2 categories that you could submit your innovations in. Great question. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Al. I appreciate it. And it's been, you know, that I've been involved with the Innovation Challenge with you kind of every step of the way and ingrained with HeroX. And it is just amazing to see how far Dassault Systems has come with this challenge and really going from just a mobility challenge to mobility for all, just the idea of inclusiveness. So thank you for that. Stacy and Stan, I'm going to kick our next question over to you. Stacy and Stan of Thermo Fisher Scientific. We noticed that the JUST project focuses, mostly on HBCUs. For the Innovation Challenge, will it be similarly focused?
Stacy, want me to take that one? Sure. No, the Innovation Challenge would be for the entire Black community, not just for the HBCUs. The program that we're sharing was the JUST Project, which was instrumental for this year or last year in getting folks back on campus in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the challenge will be for the entire Black community. Does that answer your question, Tennille?
And Stacy? Yes, Stan, thank you. Stacy, do you have anything in addition?
Stan covered it. I think I'm good.
Nicola?
Uh-oh.
We've lost
We have some technical difficulties here.
Tennille. Sorry, everybody. We're having a little bit of technical things, so let's give the engineer an opportunity to come back on.
Landon, I'll jump in and make a comment. This is Al Bunshaft. I'll just jump in and make a comment that I thought of after I finished my answer before, which is, as was explained, these challenges are open to anyone. The Dassault Systems HeroX challenge that we're doing as part of the NFI, we absolutely are targeting participation from the Base 11 community. We welcome all of you who are part of Base 11 Digital to join, but I want to make clear that the challenge is also open to the public, open for other students. So in our case, all students 18 and over, you'll need to demonstrate that you're a student. But if you're a student 18 and over, you're welcome to join. And we're looking forward to seeing your innovations. And I think I still have long enough for Tennille to get back. So go ahead, Tennille, if you're there.
Hi, Al. Thank you for that. I apologize that I had some technical difficulties. My computer and sound cut out. So, Stan, I got your last question. Al, I appreciate you jumping in there. And Doug, we're close to time now. And again, apologies for the disruption. Doug, I'm going to kick the last question over to you. In terms of the Parity Project Innovation Challenge, you know that you talked about prizes, right? Cash prizes in addition to opportunities, being flown to DC, New York, the Bahamas to present the winning proposals to the industry leaders. Can you give us a little bit more detail on that?
Thanks for the question, Tennille, and I'm really excited about this part of the work that's being done behind the scenes. You heard from Landon Taylor earlier about some of the great things that this whole process is going to result in for the opportunity, quite frankly, to dive deep as it relates to all of the things associated with the benefits for the individual just outside of the cash prizes. But let me just say this before I forget. There's two quick things that I want to mention. One, of course, is that we're still fleshing out some really, really cool stuff that's yet to be announced, but I think folks are going to be excited. I might even dust off my writing skills and submit my own. Oh, wait a minute. I guess I can't do that, can I? But the other thing, though, is this. The other thing is this. The Executive Leadership Council, which most folks have heard about, is this incredible brain trust of the highest ranking African American executives in the country have also committed to weigh in with us and come to the table and partner with us on helping to ensure that they add some value to this whole process as well. So there's more details to come as it relates to their wise counsel and input, because that brings a number of major corporations and other organizations to the table. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Doug.
Neil, can I just add one thing to Neil?
Sure thing.
I'll take the little bit of the risk here by going just a little bit further on Doug's point about the ELC. Dwayne Murray and I had a great call with the chairman, Lloyd Brown, and Michael Hyder, who's the CEO. And we're happy to report that they have committed that on that DC trip, when the winners will be flown to New York, DC, and then Bahamas, the ELC will host the top 3 winners and the presentation, along with some guests that they will bring. You have to understand how powerful that is. You have some of the most powerful, influential corporate executives in the world who these young people are going to present their winning proposal to them. And therefore, potentially, who knows what's going to happen as a result of that. So I want to thank and acknowledge the ELC and their leadership. Ransai Archon, Maria, and Doug could not be more excited about that. So DC, that's the first little hint that we'll give as to who the students will be meeting with on that trip.
Awesome. Thank you, Landon, for expounding upon that. I'm still actually back on Doug's comment. Yeah. Go ahead, Doug. Is that Doug?
Can I just apply for a special exception? Can I apply for a special exception? I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was saying I was back on your comment, and I wanted to dust off my keyboard and apply myself, Doug. Maybe if we team up, we can go ahead and attack this together. All right. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely.
you, everyone. I appreciate the time today that you have all given. I appreciate the time that you've given towards the innovation challenges. We are looking forward to seeing what comes out of them and what's just up next for each of them. Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take a short break. Feel free to stretch your legs, grab lunch if you're on the East Coast, maybe a cup of coffee. Whatever you do, get signed up for Base 11 Digital. After the break, as a reminder, we're going to pull 3 names for Amazon gift cards during the second half of the program. Also, when we come back, we're going to hear from STEM employers who happen to be NFI Base 11 partners. They're actively seeking to fill their pipelines for for diversity in STEM, and they're looking for folks like you. After you hear insights from them, you'll also have a chance to participate in Q&A. Okay, on a last note here, when we come back from the break as well, we're going to hear from Leland Melvin, Astronaut Leland Melvin, who is a Base 11 national spokesperson. He is going to announce the winners for the second phase of the Space Challenge, $1 million rocketry competition. You will not want to miss this. All right, leave your computer screens just as they are. We're going to see you after the break, and we'll be back here at 9:45 a.m. Pacific or 12:45 p.m. Eastern time. See you soon.
Okay, welcome back. Well, listen, we're just about to dive into the next part of our program. But before we do, I have two housekeeping items. One, if you missed this morning's program, I want to encourage you to jump on base11.com/digital to sign up for Base 11 Digital. Here's the exciting things that you'll get a chance to jump into as a couple highlights. One, you'll get first access to the innovation challenges that our partners have launched, these national competitions that are pretty amazing. You'll get the opportunity to access inspiring content, STEM career development content, like the STEM Career Playbook series hosted by astronaut Leland Melvin. One of my favorite is the session he did with the COO of SpaceX, Gwen Shotwell. Amazing. Learning her story about what playbook she used to get where she is today and how you can follow. Number three, you'll get a chance to be able to have access to our corporate partners and the jobs and internships that they are recruiting for. I'll give you an example. Thermo Fisher is hiring for over 500. They want to hire 500 into their organization over the next 3 years. We want you to jump in and get access to those job and internship opportunities. And then you also have the opportunity to get access to start building your own digital career portfolio to display both your academic background, your work background, any work product that you've created so that you can stand out amongst the competition when employers and investors are looking to be able to find the next great talent that they want to bring in to their organization. So those are all the reasons to sign up for Base 11 Digital. One more housekeeping item. For those of you who registered, we're going to do the drawing. The team's going to do the drawing and declare a winner. And you know what I mean if you registered for the contest. So that'll be announced in a little bit. Now, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you two amazing next frontier leaders who I'm honored to also call my friends. First is Al Bunshaft. Al is the Senior Vice President of the Education Division for Dassault Systems. He's also the president of the Dassault Systems US Foundation. And finally, he serves on the board at Base 11 with me. Al has been tremendously impactful in this work that we do together in empowering 100,000 students and early career stage adults on their pathway to success. They were the first to step up and help support sponsoring the $1 million Base 11 Space Challenge as a Chairman Circle partner. And he's going to talk a bit about that in just a moment, but just an amazing leader. And I can't wait to introduce him to you again, because you saw him a little bit earlier today. Al, I just want to thank you for all the great work that you continue to do. And the second is my friend, astronaut Leland Melvin. Leland is the only person in the world who has caught a football both in space and in the NFL. I love that stat about Leland. Leland is also a veteran in space. He's flown on the space shuttle twice, and he has inspired, I would say probably hundreds of thousands of young people around the United States, both through his memoir, Chasing Space, and the amazing talks and speeches and keynotes that he gives all across the country. Both Al and Leland were right by my side in 2018 when we originally launched the $1 million Space Challenge in Compton, California. And now I've asked them to join us to share a couple of exciting updates about what's happened with the program since then, and to announce a couple of the winners of one of our interim contests in the Space Challenge. I give you Al Bunshaft and Leland Melvin.
Thanks so much, Landon. Back in 2018, when we announced the Base 11 Space Challenge in Compton, California, a lot of people thought that we were nuts.
They did.
This competition offers $1 million prize for the first student team that designs, builds, and launches a rocket that reaches 100,000 kilometers, or what is called the Kármán line. That's the edge of space, a place that Leland here knows a lot about. There had never been a student competition with that kind of purse. and certainly not a student rocketry competition. Making it even more impressive was the stipulation that the rocket needed to run on liquid fuel. You may know that liquid-fueled rockets are much more complicated to build than solid fuel, which is why amateur rockets and university rocketry teams had almost exclusively focused on solid fuels. In fact, less than a half a dozen universities were experimenting with liquid propulsion when we came up with this idea. And they were, as you might expect, the biggest and best funded schools, Purdue, USC, Michigan. But liquid fuel rockets are what drives the commercial space industry, and that companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic are all using. So we knew that's where the future was for commercial aerospace, which is the next frontier industry. And we knew that there is a need for more hands-on experience with liquid fuel, especially for women and groups traditionally underrepresented in STEM. We also appreciated that liquid fuels present significant risks and require strict adherence to safety protocols, which is why each university team ultimately is responsible for their own processes, and Base 11 laid a foundation pulling together experts from across the US and Canada to develop the first ever safety course, specifically for university students working on liquid fueled rocket systems. That safety training was delivered in person in 2018, and since then, more than 600 students have enrolled in the online version of the safety training. Dassault Systems was proud to support the Base 11 Space Challenge and the students participating in it. We provided access to software license to all of those students on the rocketry teams to be able to use the 3D Experience platform, gaining workforce skills with the platform that's used by thousands of companies across a dozen industries. Base 11 rocketry team members have gone on to amazing and exciting jobs already at Blue Origin, at SpaceX, at other industry companies. And we're so proud of the journey these students have gone on and all that they have accomplished. But when we started this, we had no idea how much attention it would attract. Dozens of universities, even some that never entered the Base 11 Space Challenge, are now building liquid propulsion rockets. Internationally, the trend also continues. Sweden, Poland, the Netherlands, and others all have amateur liquid fuel rocket programs now, as the university groups are developing. International rocketry competitions are springing up all over the globe, in Australia, Latin America, Algeria, Europe, and Canada, all in just the last 3 years. The same people who helped put together the Base 11 safety guidelines as members of the Space Challenge Safety Council are now working hard to develop an international safety standard for amateur bi-liquid propulsion systems based off the Base 11 safety rules, which will serve as a guide for all university and amateur groups. So the impact of this goes beyond these incredible teams that we've been working with. We've really been blown away by the impact that this has had on the field.
That's really incredible, Al. Now, at the outset of the Base 11 Space Challenge, we thought maybe 10 teams would sign up if we were lucky. We were amazed when 32 universities enrolled in the competition, signifying their commitment to engaging in real-world, hands-on rocketry and STEM programming, and their interest in diversifying the STEM talent pool. These universities range from powerhouses in aerospace such as Purdue University to Fisk University, a small HBCU that had never, I say never, launched a rocket before. They included teams from across the US and Canada. A year later, 24 teams were still in the competition, completing their preliminary design reviews. Their preliminary designs were reviewed by judges from Blue Origin, SpaceX, the Reaction Research Society, and EEE Rocketry Association. Al and I were there in 2019 at Caltech. I remember that, Al, to announce the top 3 teams and award $57,000 in prizes. By the end of 2019, 8 university teams had been declared by the Safety Council to begin hot firing their engines. Unfortunately, when the pandemic hit, students had to leave behind their labs, and while they could continue some of their work remotely, their physical rockets went largely untouched for months. we've had to delay some aspects of the competition and push some deadlines back, but the teams have been incredibly resilient and positive, and they continue working toward the final deadline. Today, we're going to announce the first, second, and third place teams for phase 2 of the Base 11 Space Challenge, which is what engineers call the critical design review. Before we get to announcing the winners of phase 2, we have to take a moment to thank the experts who have volunteered countless hours to make this competition possible. They include Mark Holthus and Adam Trumpor, whom co-chair the Base 11 Safety Committee.
Thank you.
As well as Rick Wills, Joseph Mattingly, David Umbyar, and Christopher Harris, and of course, Andy Berger, who is the Senior Technical Advisor for Base 11 Space Challenge, for his tireless efforts to support the teams. Let's give another round of applause.
Thank you to all of you. Yeah.
Now, these judges and safety council members have backgrounds ranging from aerospace to chemistry and engineering to IT, and all of them are passionate about rockets and space travel. This competition would not have been possible without their time, effort, expertise, and so we want to make sure we thank them again. And now, without further ado, let's celebrate the teams left standing in the Base 11 Space Challenge. We only expected 2 or 3 teams to make it to this point, but we have 6 teams still in a very, very tight competition. Now, they are Concordia University in Montreal, Oregon State University, Portland State University, University of British Columbia, University of Michigan, and University of Texas at Austin. Now let's get to the awards. You know, Canada isn't always the first place that comes to mind when you hear about rockets or space travel. I mean, you think of Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut who played, some David Bowie music in space, but the Canadian teams in the Base 11 Space Challenge are sure doing their best to change that. Our third place winner is a team that had never built a rocket engine before the Base 11 Space Challenge, but they have since become the very first Canadian team to static test a liquid rocket engine. A steep learning curve for sure. The team has been taking an incremental approach that has allowed them to build an impressive amount of experience with everything from ignition systems to engine manufacturing techniques. In third place, congratulations to the University of British Columbia.
Awesome. Thanks, Leland. On behalf of UBC Rocket, I am honored to accept this award. This project has taken a lot of time and hard dedication, and it has certainly been a difficult year transitioning to remote work, but we are very excited with the amount of progress we have been able to make. Thank you again for this honor, and we wish everyone a great year.
Awesome. So proud of you.
Congratulations. That is just incredible. All of the teams have made incredible progress, but these 3 especially stand really tall. I'm pleased to announce that in second place, we have a team that has done an outstanding job meticulously designing, building, and testing their Space Challenge rocket systems. The judges were especially impressed with the thorough test and operational procedures that this team brought to the challenge. They were one of the first out of the gates in the Base 11 Space Challenge, the first to hot fire an engine, and the winner of the phase 1 of the competition, which was the preliminary design review. Here they are taking second place in this critical design phase. It's the team from the University of Michigan. Congratulations. Representing the team will be Theo Rolko at the University of Michigan Rocketry Program.
I'm really proud to accept this award on behalf of NASA. We've been working on this project since 2018, and we faced so many challenges, challenges that we could have never foreseen at the beginning of the pandemic, and entire subsystems that we didn't think we'd have to include, but that we've had to take on the challenge of designing. So on behalf of the team, thank you so much for this honor, and we look forward to launching very soon in December.
Great job, Theo.
Congratulations.
Congrats. All right, now to our first place award. Werner von Braun famously said, "We can lick gravity, but sometimes the paperwork is overwhelming." This team has the overwhelming paperwork covered with their most recent report to the Base 11 Space Challenge, clocking in at around 3,000 pages. In fairness, though, they warn the judges by naming their report, "I hope you like to read." This team doesn't just produce documentation, though. They've made some impressive progress on their hardware as well and are building the largest rocket of any team in the competition, with more than 7,000 pounds of thrust and some significant mobile test infrastructure. In first place, we have the University of Concordia from Montreal. Representing the team will be Camille Bernier-Tremblay and Chief Engineer from Concordia University. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Base 11. I'll accept the award on behalf of the whole Space Concordia team. Thank you to all of our team members who've been working amazingly in the past month, and we're really proud of all of us and all the team members. Thank you to all our technical staff and advisors who've been providing us with feedback and countless hours of support, and we're really thankful for all of that. So thank you to all the team. Thank you to Base 11 and MASSUC and UBC. Congratulations.
Awesome. Great job. Great job. Now that's a lot of congratulations out there to you. I know you've had a lot of, setbacks with the pandemic and everything, but that resilience and that perseverance is shown through, and you guys are going to be, rocking the house to Mars one day. So we're looking forward to seeing the progress you make between now and this summer, when the teams that are ready will begin the approval process to make their launch attempts. Mark your calendars for December 2021, which will be the launch window for a Base 11 Space Challenge team to attempt to launch their rocket from Spaceport America in the New Mexico desert, all the way to the edge of space. Godspeed to you all. They are winners.
Thank you, Leland and Al. I am just so impressed by all of the teams and the students that participated in the Base 11 Space Challenge. And I'm just looking forward to seeing more from them in the future, actually. So even though I wasn't with Base 11 at the inception of the Space Challenge, what I found interesting too was just the long-term outcomes that are going to be associated with this, going beyond the participants, but the true impact to all students and aspiring engineers around the globe. So thank you again for the update, and congratulations again to our Phase 2 winners and their teams. Now I get to introduce two employers who are seeking diverse talent today. This is part of the reason why they actually decided to join Base 11 on our Next Frontier journey. See, one of the things that makes our corporate partners and sponsors so special is that they are engaged in developing solutions to bring diverse students and early career adults to their organizations. And it's for mutual benefit, not just for their companies, but for their communities. So you'll see us, Base 11, continue to work with our partners and bringing them to the table to provide you professional development insights and content about their companies, but really about the industry also as a whole. So with that said, today I actually want to introduce two of our Next Frontier partners that we are featuring, Synzata Technologies and Regeneron. They are both respectively leaders in their industries. First, we're going to hear from Regeneron, and it's my pleasure to hand it over to Petula Stavropoulos, who's going to introduce three scientists from her team with diverse educational backgrounds and career paths. And of course, feel free to ask questions all the way along. Open up your Q&A or chat tab, and we'll get to as many questions at the end of this panel as we can. Petula, it's my distinct pleasure to have you and your team, or the Regeneron team members, with us today.
Thank you, Tennille. We're so excited to join with Base 11 today to give you all a peek into Regeneron and share some insights that will perhaps help you along your journey to a successful career in next frontier industries like biotechnology. I'm Petula Stavropoulos, Regeneron's Director of Social Impact, which means I lead corporate philanthropy and nonprofit partnerships with organizations like Base 11. Our focus is on STEM education and nurturing equitable pathways to futures in science. Today, you will hear from several Regeneron colleagues who will share how they got on their path to a career in STEM and at Regeneron. And then we'll open it up to questions from all of you. But first, I want to introduce you to Regeneron and give you a window into why we support STEM. Regeneron is a leading science and technology company with an important mission to make great medicine and do it over and over again to help people with serious diseases. Our unique ability to repeatedly and consistently translate science into medicine has resulted in 9 FDA-approved treatments and numerous product candidates in development, almost all of which have been homegrown in our laboratories in New York. Efforts like that wouldn't be possible if we weren't investing in the future of science, investing in students like you. The pandemic has amplified why scientific talent holds the promise to solve disease and existential threats. And we are depending on the bright minds of today to help solve the problems of tomorrow. So before I turn it over to my colleagues, I'll share one more point of view that is just so fundamental to the culture at Regeneron. Scientists are true heroes. We are counting on you as the future of STEM and to make a difference in the world. So on that note, I will turn to my colleagues, all of whom are scientists in their own right. We have Janelle Colon. She's a senior precision medicine associate in precision medicine within the early clinical development and experimental sciences group. We have Stephanie Giordano, research specialist in the therapeutic focus area of infectious disease. We have Jason Mighty, Dr. Mighty, Senior Project Associate, Research Program Management in the Regeneron Genetics Center. So nice to have you all with us today. Let's dive in. I want to start here. Base 11 focuses on removing barriers to entry to STEM careers, and among them, bridging the belief gap. So Jason, I'll start with you. Was there a moment, an experience, when you knew you could be a scientist?
Yeah, I think there are several moments. So I loved science as a kid. I loved biology. And I remember in one of my undergrad classes, my professor asked me if I wanted to join his lab. And I had no idea what that meant, didn't know what that would mean. And I was able to see him build his lab from the ground up. I was his first student and I was able to see how he got in equipment, materials, developing a thesis around what we want to do for the lab. So I think that experience kind of really helped me gravitate towards the love of science and understand what it means to be a researcher and really kind of fuel this interest in trying to use science to make the world a better place.
That's great. Thank you, Jason. Stephanie, what made you want to be a scientist?
Hi. Yeah, I think similarly, I always knew I was really interested in science and math. And growing up, I didn't really know what a profession in that career, in that path would look like for me. So I just assumed I wanted to I just wanted to be a doctor and I wanted to like work in a hospital setting or, but then I had a teacher in chemistry in high school, I think it was 11th grade, who I just really bonded with, and they just opened up the door of research and understanding that there are different, pathways for a career in science that aren't just being a doctor. And that was the first time I had even relatively thought about working in a lab or that was even an option for me. So I went into college kind of knowing that that was an idea, and then it turned into where I am today.
Thanks, Stephanie. I think that's such an important point. I think the lack of awareness about the breadth of careers in sciences is something that we're trying to kind of dismantle today, just in terms of breaking down those awareness barriers and introduce people to opportunities within biotechnology. Janelle, let's turn to you. When did you realize that you could be a scientist? Was there a moment for you?
Yes. So I knew that I was always interested in science ever since I was a little kid. I was the type of kid who was always questioning how things worked. But I think one of the most pivotal moments for me was with my dad being end-stage renal disease patient due to strep throat. I think one of the biggest things was that I was constantly curious of what could happen in his body and why his own body had caused him to go into renal failure. And so at that moment, I knew that I wanted to focused more on trying to find out how the body works. And then in my undergraduate studies is when I did an independent study that helped me realize that I wanted to focus my career on research.
Let's learn a little bit more about what each of you do. Jason, I'll turn back to you. For starters, you work within the Regeneron Genetics Center.
Yeah, definitely. So at the RGC, what we're trying to do is utilize the power of human genetics to try to understand disease association and disease risk. So we have these large-scale collaborations across 20 different countries. We have about 1.5 million samples sequenced thus far. And what we're really trying to do is understand how we can use genetics to try to identify new targets and even validate existing targets that we can use in Regeneron's drug discovery and develop new drugs to use in our therapies.
Great, thank you. Janelle, let's turn it to you. You sit within the early clinical development group in precision medicine. What is that? And what role do you play in the drug development process?
Yeah, so with precision medicine, we actually help operationalize all of our clinical trials. And that includes all of the logistics required for getting our patient samples in for our clinical studies, and making sure that all of our central and specialty labs are conducting our trials the way that we want to. So with precision medicine, it's once we have a study drug available and we're either investigating that drug and its efficacy within a healthy population or within our target population who contain patients who have the disease.
Great. And Stephanie, you work within the infectious disease team. You've been working on the treatment for COVID-19. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm in the infectious disease department, and I'm in the lab where we are looking at these monoclonal antibodies that are used to neutralize the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Yeah, it's been definitely takes a village, and not only that, but I think we also have previously done a similar timeline for the Ebola monoclonal antibodies that neutralize Ebola. So we had previously kind of set the bar for what the timeline could be, and we've taken those lessons and we've learned what works and what doesn't. And because of it, because of all of the people really showing up and really pushing it forward with all of this knowledge that we had previously gotten from the Ebola trials, I think it's really what helped us push the timeline to be as quickly as it could be.
Jason, during your PhD, you were a program coordinator for the Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation, the LSAMP program, which seeks to diversify the STEM workforce. Can you talk a little bit about your work through that program and maybe share some key takeaways or insights that might be beneficial to students watching today?
Yeah, sure. So I was actually a student in the LSAMP program and then kind of went on to be the program coordinator. So it was very instrumental in my science career because I didn't understand what it meant to be a scientist, but more importantly, I didn't know that there were scientists out in the world that looked like me and people were out there who, you know, have had my experiences, have come down the same path as I have. So it was very important for me to see someone who looked like me that I could relate to and could then give me advice and say, hey, this is how you navigate these different issues. So I think it was instrumental to then kind of give back and try to help students who were like me or in my position to say, hey, these things are available to you. There are people out there, there are resources out there that want you to be in these career paths and want you to succeed. And, you know, there's funding, there's travel opportunities, there's different internships. So just try to give them an insight into this world and the different resources available to them to try to push through and navigate through these different career fields.
That's great. And Stephanie, what's some advice that you would give to students, or maybe to your younger self if you were in high school or in college again?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm only a few years into my career, so I still feel like it's sort of unraveling and figuring itself out in front of my eyes. So I think I would just tell myself to, trust the science and just stay close to the science and figure out like what excites you and just follow it. I think, the most important thing that you bring with you wherever you go is your enthusiasm, and your ability to communicate with, people about your enthusiasm. And I think as long as you're constantly just moving towards something that you're passionate about, you will eventually find yourself maybe in a place you wouldn't have imagined yourself where you would have been. For example, working on a pandemic at the age of 25, but you'll make the best of it. And as long as you're doing what you love, I think the journey will find the destination.
Sound advice. Janelle, you volunteer as a mentor with Big Brothers Big Sisters. You've been doing this for years. What are you seeing are the greatest areas of need in helping students understand what opportunities exist in STEM, or even just overcoming maybe some challenges or that they might have around awareness, access, and belief?
Absolutely. So to echo what Jason was saying, I think a lot of the children who I do meet and mentor through Big Brothers Big Sisters are from underrepresented groups, and so a lot of them are first generation going to college, the first ones in their families even considering college. And so I think one of the biggest gaps there is that there's not enough guidance in the process and how to actually navigate applications or finding what they're interested in. So I think the biggest areas where my mentees suffer is that they don't see enough people who do look like them, and they don't know how they can even access it, especially if they don't think it's something that's achievable for themselves. So one of the biggest things that I try to do is let them know that, my situation started off very similarly to theirs, where, I didn't even think my family could afford for me to go away to college. And so I had to find alternative ways to help myself get there. And I think that's one of the biggest things I try to instill in my mentees as well, is letting them know that, as long as it's something that you want, you can find a way to achieve it, no matter what. The path may be a little more windy and a little bit longer, but as long as they really stick to it, I advise them to find teachers in high school or in college as well, who appeal to what they like to learn, and ask them questions, ask them to, mentor them as well, so that they can help get them on that career path towards STEM.
And that's really gets at the heart of what we're trying to do at Regeneron through our STEM education outreach and equity programs. And we've made some commitments to really focus on increasing representation at our leadership levels, as well as within our own talent pipeline. And of course, the work that we do in terms of our community outreach supports those efforts. I want to ask each of you to reflect a bit on how inclusivity at Regeneron really helps to drive innovation.
I guess I could go first. So I think it's pretty cool to see the diversity here at Regeneron. And I think what's really cool is, when I came here a couple of years ago, I saw these employee interest groups that really kind of, built these communities around different people from different creeds and walks of life. And I think, fostering that environment allows us to see what's different about each other, but what also unique and what's similar about each other. And I think through that, we can find a lot of cooperation and a lot of innovation in that. So I think having this diverse population of people from different experiences, different walks of life, just different fields, different ways they grew up, different parts of the world. I think that really gives us, a very wide insight into how things could possibly work. And I think that eventually feeds into our science and gives us different perspectives of how we can look at the science as well.
I definitely agree with what Jason's saying, and I think that inclusivity here at Regeneron really does help foster collaboration. I think, you know, we go through a lot of DE&I trainings and you know, make a great effort to know our other colleagues and how they work, and even down to different working styles and everything like that. And so I think by fostering that type of open-mindedness and exposure to all different types of, you know, personalities and cultures and work styles really does help us get to better science in the long run. Because you're more open, you're more, you know, able to work with different types of people to, you know, collaborate better and get great data at the end for our science. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think, you know, having different perspectives on a team is just a great, incredibly valuable opportunity to learn something new about, you know, either the science or even yourself. Just being able to, you know, interact with people and from different backgrounds can always just lend some more insight into who you are and where the science is going, and how, you know, working together can really make a really well-rounded group of people.
That's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your thoughts. We're going to open it up to our audience now for questions. And we'll also be joined by Jen Bernasconi, who's an associate director within our university relations department, who will take questions about our college internship program. So she's here with us now as well. Thank you all, and we'll take your questions.
Petula, thanks so much. I asked you to show up and show out on behalf of Regeneron and bring some amazing scientists with you, and you actually did just that. So we're super appreciative. It is great to see the insights and the exciting things happening at Regeneron. Of course, to our audience members, again, as Petula said, it's that time for Q&A. Go ahead and enter your questions. We'll get to as many as we can, but I would like to say that I love seeing that the chat is on fire. I appreciate the engagement and everyone just participating. So Petula, you already introduced Jen. I know that she's here in addition to the panel. Jen, thanks so much for joining us. And I'm going to start with our first question. Even though you kind of touched on inclusivity, this question pulls a little bit more on that thread. So Regeneron became a household name last fall with its COVID antibody cocktail. How did you all develop that so quickly? And do you think that the company's diversity helped at all? So Petula, maybe I'll start with you and you can just take it over to your team as you see fit.
Sure.
Okay. Petula's having some difficulty. Stephanie, I see you're on screen here. Do you want to maybe step in? Well, Petula, you're back. So between you and Stephanie, I know, that you gave us some really good insight into your work on the COVID cocktail, antibody cocktail, a little bit ago. So between the two of you.
Yeah, I can just speak on behalf of, in the infectious disease department, we've established a pipeline for discovering these monoclonal antibodies through our Ebola platform, where we've isolated antibodies for a cocktail to help treat Ebola as well. So through that knowledge and through, the perspective of, lots of really talented scientists in our department and, company-wide, we've been able to, really push the boundaries of those timelines and really, get the product to the people as quickly as we possibly could.
Thank you,
Perhaps
Stephanie.
I can jump in
Petula, did you
now.
have anything that you wanted to add to that? I know we cut out at the beginning.
Take two. We'll try this again. The only thing I was going to add is that, our approach to diversity is one that is one with the aim to mirror the patient population that we serve. Regeneron is a global biopharmaceutical company with a diverse patient population, and it's only in our best interest that we are working towards building a workforce just as diverse as the patients that we serve.
That's right. Thank you, Patel.
I know we had a question in the chat earlier asking folks about, asking us to give some examples or help students understand how to seek out opportunities in STEM. What advice would you give students who don't know much about STEM? So Jen, maybe we can turn it to you. I can put you on the spot here just in terms of the work that you do in exposing students to opportunities in STEM through the work you do on college campuses.
Yeah, absolutely. So happy to answer. Hope folks can see me or hear me. So we have at Regeneron a very, very robust internship and co-op program, and we hire globally over 500 students each year. A large majority of those students are coming in our summer internship program, which is a project-based experience where students are coming in and working side by side with teams on real initiatives and outcomes for the organization. They're typically here from May through August, and the great thing about our program is we actually have students involved with that program from very early on, from those who are just graduating high school all the way up through advanced degrees. So there's tremendous amount of opportunities to become engaged with a variety of teams, and a large majority of the students that we bring in are really STEM focused. What we would want to do is have students come in from, freshman year of college or earlier and stay with us all the way through their education and ultimately join Regeneron on a full-time basis. I would encourage anybody, any of you on the call today, that take initiative to seek out opportunities early. I wouldn't wait till your junior year of your bachelor's. I would start to seek out those opportunities and those connection points right when you're even starting your bachelor's or even in your high school experience. I know Regeneron and probably many biotech companies like us, the scientists are so generous with their time. So connecting with them through your network or through LinkedIn or your university or your high school is really a great way to just get that exposure.
Thank you for that, Jen. I appreciate it. I know my video cut out for a moment there, so thank you for continuing with the question. I'm going to go ahead and kick off one last question here, and I think Dr. Mighty, I'm going to start with you, but this is for everyone. You all have different degrees, bachelor's, master's, PhDs, but what are the advantages of getting a higher level degree if you're a scientist at Regeneron, and does Regeneron have programs that cover tuition for employees?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So I guess on the degree end, I think in science, it's all about training. So, I think as you go through different training from bachelor's to master's to PhD, you get kind of exposed to different levels of training and different levels of responsibility. So it really trains you how to develop a hypothesis and how to develop experiments around that to kind of try to answer that question. But, from a scientific front, from having a bachelor's to a master's to PhD, it's all about training. And it's not like you can't, be a scientist with a bachelor's or a master's. Like, you still have that training you have to go through, and you're still exposed to so much. So I think, just the exposure to different graduate degrees teaches you how to kind of, develop your own lab, develop different hypotheses and thesis. So I think it's different levels of training that this kind of affords you. But, being a scientist with a bachelor's is something very achievable. It's all about training and just kind of exposing yourself to that. So yeah, it's not like, I don't want to make the case that if you just have a bachelor's, you can't be a scientist. That's definitely not the case. But as you go throughout graduate school, there's different levels of training and exposure that you receive in that training as well. I'm sorry, the second part of your question, I totally missed that.
No problem. I asked about tuition assistance for employees.
Yeah, definitely. So I even looked into this because I work in the Regeneron Genetics Center. It's a lot of kind of insights into bioinformatics, and my training was more in molecular biology. So I was looking into actually, doing a master's in bioinformatics or something. And Regeneron does kind of have tuition reimbursement for that. So, they try to give you the resources, kind of expand your knowledge, and kind of train you to kind of explore different fields. So that's definitely something I tried to take advantage of, and it's available as a resource at Regeneron.
Great. Thank you. And Janelle, I'm going to ask you if you have anything to add on to that from a higher education perspective.
Absolutely. So I actually was one of the recipients here at Regeneron of tuition reimbursement. So it was a great benefit. I actually pursued my master's while fully employed here at Regeneron. And, seeking a advanced degree is very helpful for what I do, especially because, like Jason was saying, it gives you that additional training, a little bit more specialized in particularly the field that I'm working in. My background is immunology and microbiology, and it's very helpful, especially for our vast portfolio of clinical trials that we're working on, to have that advanced degree to fine-tune it specifically to the studies that I contribute to.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I didn't know that you had that personal experience of getting your degree while you were at Regeneron. So that's awesome. I know that we're at time here, but Jen, I think in our virtual world, so to speak, right now, it's really important if you can maybe just give me a 30-second answer to this last question before we close. What are the locations?
I lost you a little bit. Was it locations for our facilities potentially? So I'll just answer that in case that was it. So we actually have two large locations within the U.S. One is in the Westchester, New York area, so Tarrytown, New York, and Sleepy Hollow, New York. And then we have a large production facility in the Albany, New York, or Rensselaer County area. So from a U.S. perspective, those are the two hubs that we would hire a majority of our interns. So any given summer, we'd have over 400 students that would come in between those two locations. Was that the question? Yeah.
Yes, it was. Where are the locations you would most hire, and are there opportunities for remote? Yes, thank you, Jen. I appreciate it.
Yes, so there are, yes. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. No, I know you want to expound upon opportunities for remote work, it sounds like.
Oh, I thought we were out of time. So our full internship experience this summer will be remote. So we have for the U.S. locations, it will be a fully remote experience. We're hoping that starting potentially in the fall and into 2022 that we will have students back on site. But for now, it is a 100% virtual experience.
Great. And I appreciate you indulging me with that last question. I just really think it's important for our audience today. So thank you all for sharing your experiences. Thank you to Regeneron for your stellar partnership, and we appreciate all of you. All right, now let's turn it over to our partners at Synzata Technologies. Today, we're joined by Catherine Graves, University Relations Recruiter for Synzata Technologies. And you'll be interested to know, Catherine actually started as an intern and has taken on bigger and bigger roles since she's joined the company. Per usual, on the other side of this presentation, we'll have an opportunity for Q&A. So go ahead throughout and just submit your questions, and we'll be sure to get to them right after we hear from Catherine and team. Catherine, we're so glad to have you join us.
Thanks, Tennille. Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine Graves, and I'm the University Relations Recruiter at Synzata Technologies. So I started as an intern at Synzata in 2017 and continued my career at Synzata after college. So to share a little bit more about what we do, Synzata is a global company that provides sensors and sensor systems to a broad array of applications, including automotive, industrial, consumer goods, and aerospace. So to give a few examples of things that our engineers work on, we have engineers working on product design, process, manufacturing, and quality. So some examples of some of our products, we have a tire pressure monitoring system that can be found in your car. We have sensors being used in battery management system in electric vehicles, and we're working on creating some wireless sensors as well. So I'd like to get us started with a quick video to learn more about Synzata and how we work smarter together.
What goes into your car's safety and efficiency protocols? What does it take to engineer the transportation of the future? What does it take to ensure that industrial equipment of tomorrow is running efficiently? Thousands of hours dedicated to getting every sensor right. Hundreds of parts tested to ensure quality. Dozens of parts manufactured by one person per minute. A round-the-clock distribution network for all 1 billion plus products shipped per year. A global force working smarter together. At Synzata, working together makes things work. Synzata, smarter together.
Synzata understands that diversity is key to driving innovation, so STEM fields are and will continue to be the fastest growing and have the greatest impact. As you know, women and minorities are still underrepresented in these fields, and Synzata is focused on encouraging students to follow the path to a STEM career. This is important to Synzata's mission of creating a safer, cleaner, more energy efficient world. Next, we'll hear a message from our CEO, Jeff Cote, from our Diversity Drives Innovation Conference.
Since I was appointed CEO less than a year ago, I've been very clear with all audiences that I can speak with that our success as a company begins with our people. If we take care of our people, they will go above and beyond to serve our customers, and shareholder value will result as a natural result of that. And this means all people, all of our people globally. A diverse and inclusive workforce is necessary to drive innovation, to foster creativity, and to guide business strategies. And I do believe it's our collective obligation to embody and embrace the power of differences. Having a diverse and inclusive workforce is not just the right thing to do. It makes us better every single day.
Now we'll hear from June Park, a mechanical design engineer at Synzata.
So my name is June Park. I grew up in Yonkers, New York, which is just north of the Bronx. I have a BS in mechanical engineering from Yale, and I started working at Texas Instruments, which was the precursor of Synzata, just after college. So right as a 21-year-old, I came here, and I started as a mechanical design engineer, and that is the role I still have today. Obviously, I have different responsibilities, which I can talk about a little later. I did leave TI for 2 years to teach high school physics, but chose to return to engineering. So I came back to Synzata because of the people here. So, I mean, they're very smart. They've always made time to answer my questions. And, generally they're pretty interesting and caring people. So that's really what brought me back to Synzata after teaching. Like ever since in high school, I was always a strong math science student. And I knew I wanted to be in these fields. I think there's a lot of really interesting things that you can learn about and figure out. I liked being able to figure things out. And also I kind of liked the idea of actually there being a right answer. I mean, there's gray areas in everything, but I really enjoyed those pieces of like solving puzzles and that sort of part of math and science. I think that I wasn't sure exactly what kind of engineer I wanted to be at the end of high school. I applied to college with the intent of going into engineering, but I wasn't really sure what type of engineering. And I really, I went into college like when one goes, they're 17 or 18 years old. So you're still pretty young, and I knew that I wanted to go somewhere where they had a strong curriculum outside of engineering, so that if I decided to change, there was the opportunity to do that. So even while I was in college, I chose lots and lots of classes that were outside of my major, and I would encourage you to do that because you're not going to have that opportunity when you get older. It's just harder. So, but yeah, I ended up choosing mechanical engineering. I think because I liked being able to see the effects that I was studying. It was very tangible to me. It made a lot of sense. So that's how I ended up as a mechanical engineer. One of our big work streams in the Engineering Council is devoted to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we're committed to improving representation of underrepresented people in technical roles in a sustainable way. So specifically, I want to make sure there's a healthy pipeline of great underrepresented candidates that are progressing through Synzata and have the opportunities to advance and succeed. I mean, I think what we've realized is that we need a fairly holistic solution for a truly sustainable change. So we're taking a multi-pronged approach to address this. We are focused on looking at our hiring practices to make sure that, we are targeting schools with a fairly balanced male-female population to choose from. I think we also make sure we look at that school's statistics and say, are we interviewing at a rate that's reflective of what they're presenting, and are we hiring at a rate that's reflective of what they're presenting? And if not, I think we need to just do some soul searching around, all right, well, what can we do differently about our process? I think that the advice I would give someone, so I wish I could give it to myself still, because I think it's still something that I need to work on. But, in my career, there have been many moments where, I question whether, am I cut out for this? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? And can't someone else do this better than I can? So I think that the advice I give to myself, or would love to have given to myself at 17, would be that, that second guessing does nothing positive for you. It just takes away a lot of your energy and creates a lot of doubt. I don't think it's productive. So I think that it's really important to remind yourself that there's a lot of evidence, you've been successful up until now. There are a lot of things that you've done to be successful. Those things didn't happen by accident. I think it's important to remind yourself those things when times are tough, and just not spend so much time sort of second guessing your qualifications. Just focus on the work, focus on doing the best you can. And I think also focusing on reaching out for help. There are lots of people around you that are very smart and want to see you succeed. So don't be afraid to reach out to those folks either for advice, guidance, whether it's technical or career or, emotional. There are a lot of ways you can help yourself. So I think that would be the message I would give to my younger self, and I continue to give it now.
Thanks, June. Now we'll hear from Rame, an electrical design engineer at Synzata, to share more about a day in the life of a Synzata engineer.
Hi, my name is Rahme, and I've been an electrical design engineer for 3 years now. My journey with Synzata started in my sophomore year of college during my university's career fair. I remember that day feeling pretty nervous and a little bit doubtful because I had little experience technically to put on my resume, and I honestly had no idea how to talk to employers. But as someone who grew up as a pretty shy kid, I was really on a mission to get out of my comfort zone and better learn how to advocate for myself. That said, when I approached Synzata's booth, what first stood out to me was that I wasn't speaking to a representative there to scan resumes, but rather an actual engineer who had taken time out of her day to speak to students and potentially get to know her next colleague. After being asked a technical question right on the spot during our short conversation, I walked away feeling that I didn't need to know the perfect words to say, but rather was given the opportunity to demonstrate my knowledge and actually show what I know. That observation stood pretty true throughout the entirety of what ended up being my internship the next summer with Synzata. As an intern, I had the opportunity to work hand in hand with an electrical and a mechanical engineer, collecting and processing data that ended up being the backbone of a new product launch. At the end of the summer, I and all of the interns had the opportunity to present our work to engineers throughout the company, speaking to everything that we learned and how we made an impact. I left that summer feeling that I really had a much better understanding of what industry work looked like, and I had found 2 amazing mentors who to this day in my full-time career continue to guide me. Day-to-day work of a design engineer in Synzata can mean something different each and every day. In my case, as an electrical engineer, whether it be designing a circuit for our next product launch, simulating how a circuit might work, setting up a test on a nice test bench, or on a truck in the garage, whether it be looking at CAD models made by mechanical engineers, spending time on the phone with customers or one of our make sites in Malaysia, China, Mexico, or other places in the world, or whether it be just having lunch with your coworkers. Each day has its own form of excitement and something new to learn.
Thanks, Rame. So now I'd like to talk a little bit more about our intern program. We give out technical-based projects to all of our interns. So not only are you able to apply some of the skills you've learned in school, but also have the opportunity to learn something new and add some value to Synzata's business. So we provide some development opportunities for our interns, from meeting with our CEO and some of our other senior leaders to participating in a presentation skills training and some other trainings as well. So we like to think of our internships as kind of a long-term interview. So we get to see you showcasing your skills and how you work within your group, and you get to see how you fit into the Synzata team and what you like about working with us. Thanks so much for listening and learning a little bit more about Synzata. Hi, everyone. So I'm Catherine. I think we may have lost Tennille, so I can get started with the Q&A.
Catherine, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so I'll get us started with the first question I saw come through. So are there any internship opportunities at Synzata, and also where are our locations? So yes, we do have internship opportunities at Synzata. So we typically hire mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, quality engineers, process engineers, and our locations that we typically hire our interns. We have a Thousand Oaks, California site. We have a Carpinteria, California site. We have our headquarters here in Attleboro, Massachusetts. And then we do hire some interns in our Bloomington, Minnesota office as well. So I'll turn to Rame for our next question. So what experience best prepared you for your career at Synzata? I think we may have lost Rame, so I will.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you, Tennille.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Thanks for answering our first question, Catherine. I appreciate it. In light of Rame not being on the phone at this moment, I actually wanted to ask you a question just for the audience. So as you know, I did a video with Krista Allen, the Senior Director for Global Talent, and that's about returnships, which are really unique to Synzata. However, our audience today probably hasn't viewed that video yet, and they can find it on Base 11 Digital, but is there anything that you would like to share, any details for right now, just to give folks some idea of that?
Yes, of course. So our returnship program is for professionals that took a break from their career. So whether you took some time to tend to things at home or just left your role for any reason, it gives you the opportunity to kind of re-enter the workforce. So this is a paid program for about 6 months with the intentions of hopefully offering a full-time employee opportunity at the end of the returnship. So it really just kind of gives those that took a break from their career the opportunity to jump back in to their field.
Awesome, thank you. And I think it's actually really relevant, I'll say, to our audience, especially at a time like this too, where we have, you know, COVID and folks are displaced from their jobs for different reasons and or, to your point, decide to take a break. So I like that it pretty much addresses entire demographic that's not necessarily, right, addressed as folks enter the workforce. So I have one more question for you, Catherine. What do you mainly look at when looking through resumes for engineers?
Yeah, sure. I typically attend career fairs. So this year that was adjusted to a virtual career fair, but I would say mainly it's not always about what you put on your resume, but I just look for passion to learn and passion for engineering. So if you're a student that can speak very passionately about a project that you've worked on or an opportunity that you have, that's something that I'm really looking for. We provide a lot of opportunities for our students to learn here at Synzata. So I think kind of being able to show that you're really passionate about engineering and you really want to learn more is the main thing that I look for.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. We did have some questions for Rame, but I don't think that she's able to get in. So there were questions about, of course, like her most challenging experiences or experiences in college that prepared her for work at Synzata. So maybe we can just follow up after the webcast, excuse me, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. So I appreciate both of you. Thanks so much for bearing with us through a couple technical difficulties today and just kind of jumping in and taking over. We appreciate your partnership. We also appreciate that Synzata has decided to focus on diversity as part of their journey and to take that journey with us through Base 11, building their STEM pipeline. So at this time, we did say that we would have winners for those who signed up on Base 11 Digital earlier in the day. And I'd like to actually announce 3 of those winners. Anyone's name. Our first place winner, Isaiah Mall, and you get a $50 Amazon gift card. Third place winner is Tiana Banks, and you receive a $25 gift card. So congratulate each of you at the address when you register. Everyone else, please go sign up for Base 11 Digital. Now to Landon Taylor to actually talk to our newest Base 11 partner.
And now we're excited to announce our newest Next Frontier Initiative corporate partner, Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency company in the world. And I'm excited to share with you that just last week, Coinbase finalized their commitment to join Base 11 at our top Game Changer sponsor level. And you're going to hear a lot more about that in terms of what that means to you as participants. It's super exciting. Now, when it comes to my commitment to ensure that women and people of color are well positioned to enter and excel in the types of industries of the 21st century that will be the fastest growing and the greatest opportunity for wealth creation, cryptocurrency is the perfect example. And let me share with you a couple of stats to prove my point. The current cryptocurrency industry total market capitalization is about $2 trillion, having doubled in just the past few months. And I'd like to do a little informal survey. Those of you watching, how many of you have already started investing in crypto? Put that in the chat. It'd be interesting to kind of get an informal poll. And then last week, this announcement, if you haven't seen it yet, Coinbase went public with a direct listing, and they closed their first day of trading with valued at nearly $86 billion. That's right, 86 billion with a B. So you might imagine they've been a bit busy over the course of the last week. And given how busy they've been, we're super grateful that Coinbase CFO, Alicia Haas, is with us today to announce our partnership and share a bit about her vision around empowering our students and early career adults with the opportunity to jump in and become a part of this exciting opportunity called cryptocurrency. Now, before I introduce Alicia, let me just say a couple words about her. Number one, she's a baller CFO. Prior to joining Coinbase, she's had CFO roles with several amazing companies, including One West Bank. And I can tell you on a personal note, having gotten to know Alicia over the last 6 months, I can tell you that she is a leader who walks her talk. And so, Alicia, I want to thank you for joining us today and welcome to Base 11's Next Frontier.
Thank you, Landon. I could not be more delighted to be here representing Coinbase and all of our employees for the opportunity to welcome more students and early emerging adults into the field of crypto. So thank you for this opportunity.
Well, you're welcome. And we want to thank you for you being so excited about jumping in to help advance this mission to accelerate 100,000 students, early career adults, and entrepreneurs on their pathway to success on what we call next frontier industry opportunities. And now, thanks to Coinbase, they'll have the opportunity to have a pathway to cryptocurrency, which we recognize as a part of fintech. Now, cryptocurrency is something that I think everyone watching has become familiar with, but it's still an emerging field. So I think the first question that I'd love to ask of you, for you to share with the audience, is can you tell us a little bit more about the cryptocurrency industry overall? Tell us about the unique position that Coinbase is playing, and from a perspective of awareness, why those watching should be super interested in this industry and the work you're leading in particular.
Absolutely. So let me start with Coinbase. Coinbase started in 2012 with a radical idea at the time. And that idea was that anyone, anywhere, should be able to easily and securely send and receive Bitcoin. Now, today, we're offering a trusted, easy-to-use platform for accessing the broader crypto economy, which, as Landon mentioned, has grown to over $2 trillion in the recent weeks. But we offer the access to this crypto economy to more than 56 million users in over 100 countries. What we are doing is we're building a financial system that is free, fair, and importantly, that is open to everyone. I want to paint this picture for you. Imagine that if every payment in the world was as fast and as cheap as sending an email. Imagine that anyone that had an idea for a product could get customers all over the world from day one. Imagine that anyone with a smartphone had access to the same financial services that we enjoy here in the United States. We believe this is the power of crypto, and that is the world that we are building to drive more economic freedom. And we believe that economic freedom drives innovation, it drives efficiency, and it drives a quality of opportunity across the world. And that we believe that creating this open financial system through crypto can be a great equalizer, while at the same time accelerating the pace of innovation across the world.
Wow, I love it. Now, here's what's amazing. I mean, so much of what you said resonates with what we're focused on. You talk about freedom, and I can tell you that the young people that we serve, they get excited about not only great career opportunities, but to be involved in things that make a difference. And you're talking about creating freedom and being the great equalizer. That really, really resonates with us. And I think the next question that I'd love to ask you is, when you think about Base 11's mission, what was it about our mission that resonates most with you and the Coinbase organization that caused you to want to jump in the way you have?
Oh, Landon. So I first had the opportunity to meet you and hear you at a JP Morgan conference in December of 2020. And when I heard you speak, I was quite candidly like glued to the screen. Like I was very focused on making sure I picked up every word. And what I was blown away by was not only your vision, but most importantly, the impact that Base 11 has had and the outcomes with the talent that you've introduced to the frontiers of technology in areas such as machine learning, space, artificial intelligence. But what I was listening carefully for and what struck me as you spoke was that crypto was notably absent from those comments. And I thought to myself, Coinbase needs a seat at the table. We're an emerging technology. We are the new frontier. We're the frontier of finance. And I needed to introduce crypto to these STEM and entrepreneurs who are speaking about, as I think that there's exciting career paths in this field. And I am biased, and I admit my bias here, but I believe that crypto may be the most exciting emerging technology. Sending money as easily as sending email, building a new economy. I just think there's something so powerful in those ideas. It's like the early days of the internet. At Coinbase, one of our core tenets is to have top talent in every seat. This means that we want the most qualified candidates to help us build these future innovations. But for anyone who's seen the research, we also know that diverse teams lead to greater innovation and the bottom line. Unfortunately, our talent pools are not as diverse as we would like them to be. It's a challenge that many companies face, but with crypto, it's more acute because of the newness of this industry. We're just so young and nascent. At the same time, we view this as a benefit, as the newness of crypto creates more opportunity. There's so much more potential to play an active role in training the talent of the future. So that's why we're so excited about this Base 11 partnership and the focus on training the skills required to succeed in the future industries such as crypto. And we certainly believe that the future of finance will be powered by crypto.
Oh, that's hot. I love it. And something you said that is just right on point about this being the whole notion of diverse talent being a business case, right? I mean, it's the right thing to do, but it's driven by the business case. And so many great companies like McKinsey continue to prove through their research that companies with diverse teams outperform those companies with less diverse teams financially quarter over quarter over quarter. And you all are smart to be able to recognize that and to really make moves to make sure that you're positioned to accordingly to be able to make sure that you continue to grow. And with that being said, I'd love for you to share with the audience maybe a bit more about your thoughts and your commitments that you're wanting to make relative to the partnership with Base 11. And for the audience, what type of opportunities that you hope to create for the diverse students and early career adults and entrepreneurs who are watching this broadcast today.
We are so excited to announce today that we are signed on to become a 3-year Game Changer sponsor and to support Base 11's Next Frontier initiative to train 100,000 by the year 2030. Hopefully many of you all in crypto. Additionally, Coinbase is developing an innovation challenge, which we will unveil later this year to get more young people involved in crypto. And I'm not going to give away too much here on this call, but we promise it'll be big and more on that will come.
I can't wait for the innovation challenge. That's going to be incredible. Well, thank you again, Alicia, to you and to the entire Coinbase organization for committing your time, your financial resources, and most of all, your passion to this great mission. And I can tell you, here's what we're going to offer back. We will stand with you, partner with you to help make sure that you develop the diverse talent that you need at every level of the organization, from entry level all the way to the board of directors, because we both know that's what you need to make sure that you remain the largest cryptocurrency company in the world. And we look forward to helping you achieve all those incredible goals that you've talked about today.
We can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Alicia, for being with us. And for everyone watching, we're now going to go from introducing and talking to our newest corporate partner to introducing and talking and sharing with you some remarks from one of our most established partners, and that's Al Bunshaft with Dassault Systems. And Al is the Senior Vice President of Dassault Systems Education. He is the President of Dassault Systems US Foundation. He's a member of the Base 11 Board of Directors, and he's what I like to affectionately call my brother from another mother. So over to you, Al.
Thanks, Landon. How exciting to have Coinbase joining Base 11 as a partner. Blockchain and cryptocurrency are clearly next frontier technologies. You may have noticed, in fact, that when Coinbase went public last week, their market cap the first morning exceeded the value of the New York Stock Exchange plus NASDAQ. Just extraordinary and so exciting for young people who are getting involved with this technology now. So as we close the day today, I want to take the opportunity to speak to those of you who maybe are not yet Base 11 partners. And I want to do that by reflecting on the journey that Dassault Systems has traveled with Base 11 and the value we've derived from this partnership. We started partnering with Base 11 in 2017. We invested in sponsoring some of the core programs of Base 11. We saw some very talented young people we got to work with from across the United States. We engaged with some strategic universities, and we absolutely helped accelerate some young people to the Victory Circle. And we have some wonderful stories that came out of that. Subsequently, we became a chairman's level sponsor for the Base 11 Space Challenge. And we really took it to another level with the Space Challenge. We hope to get about a dozen teams to join us from the US and Canada. We had over 30 teams, universities express interest. We had about 24 teams sign up for the competition. For Dassault Systems, we were able to offer our software to all of the students who were involved at no cost to them. We had over 600 students sign up and get licenses on the 3D Experience platform. But unlike the first programs we were involved with, this took it to an expanded ecosystem that also included other Base 11 sponsors, many in the aerospace industry, many who are our clients, a number of which who are prospects for us. We were able to build new relationships through that work. We also brought in our HR team to do strategic recruiting for new employees as well as internships at some of the interim events. So now here we are launching the Future of Mobility for All Challenge with Dassault Systems, Base 11, and partnering with HeroX to help get it out there. And we hope to do this again. And we're again introducing new elements that we believe will further benefit the students and the ecosystem around this student challenge. For example, we've invited some of our clients to be judges. And so they now participate in what we call the Workforce of the Future initiative at Dassault Systems, for which we're partnering with Base 11. So we see tangible benefits through our ongoing experiences and partnership. We continue to better understand how to work together and expand the nature of the partnership that we're doing, and really home in on how to make a real impact. So again, I want to encourage you, if you're not yet partnering, to think about how to take advantage of this ecosystem and to join us in accelerating over 100,000 students to the Victory Circle in the next 10 years. So with that, now I want to pass it over to Tennille, who has some special announcements. Tennille?
Thanks, Al. Well, I have just a few reminders as we come to a close here. First, if you haven't registered for Base 11 Digital yet, we encourage you to do so. It is your one-stop shop for access to innovation challenges, the Boulay Base 11 Fellows program, getting career advice from our STEM leaders, and getting mentored or becoming a mentor, and much, much more. Also, we truly hope you enjoyed today's content. If you enjoyed our program today, we invite you to come back in the fall for our Next Frontier Conference and Expo 2021. It's going to be a bigger and better event, two-day virtual event with interactive booths. You can talk to recruiters from companies about internships and opportunities. And of course, we're going to continue to give you these gems from our Next Frontier leaders in STEM. To give you an idea, at last year's event, we actually had Olabisi Boyle of Hyundai and Gwen Shotwell from SpaceX speak. Let me give you a highlight of our event last year.
You got to be comfortable being who you are. That is your superpower. Nobody can be a better you than you can. And I think about my experience growing up as a Black man, it has uniquely prepared me to do what I'm doing today. I guarantee you that your experience has prepared you for what it is you want to do in your life.
Hi, welcome to the Next Frontier Conference and Expo 2020. The Next Frontier initiative is designed to accelerate 100,000 on their pathway to what we call Next Frontier industries, which include data analytics, fintech, aerospace, life sciences, and more. And the way we do that is to provide you with access, awareness, and belief.
John Young walked on the moon. John Young said, Leland, you should probably become an astronaut. I said, man, if a guy who walked on the moon said I can become an astronaut, maybe I can do it. So sometimes you need that mentor because sometimes you don't believe it in yourself.
You can see how successful these leaders are and know that personally you have a pathway to achieve that success, but that's why we're here.
We're here because we care about you, because we want to help you build a network of people that will support you. We are your network. Use us.
I'm from the South Los Angeles area. Growing up, it was very hard for me to look around in my neighborhood and see possible outcomes that I could be, but I had to put myself out of my comfort zone, take myself out of my situation, and I learned that through Base 11.
What I really want folks to understand is it is scary, but you want to get over that, become really good at something, and as soon as you master something, you can get over your fears.
Say yes at the door. If an opportunity arises, do not second guess yourself. Say, yes, I can do that, and then figure it out because you can.
When I look in the mirror, I see strength, I see determination, and I see exactly what an engineer is, despite what I look like.
Get built up so you never have to worry about being puffed up. By built up, I mean getting that early foundation in knowledge, work hard every day, come correct in the rain and the shine. We can all come correct in the shine. You are a person of character when you can still come correct and smile in the rain. If you focus this time on getting built up in STEM, you will never, ever have to worry about being puffed up.
Personally, there's no benefit in being successful if you can't help other people. Success to me, it's really about helping people. It's about giving back. And I've been blessed to achieve a level of success, but not for myself. It's really so that I can have an impact on other people's lives. And that's what I try to do every single day.
Wow, I promise you, I am inspired every time I rewatch that video. I hope that it inspired you too. And actually, if it did, we invite you to join us in our post-event lobby. You can rewatch all of the content from last year's session there, and that's where we invite you to pre-register for this year's fall event. Go ahead, click this button in the post-event lobby and register for October 6th and 7th. On a final note, when you exit this event, a survey will actually pop up. We are better because of you. We're here because of you. And in that vein, we would ask you to take just a few minutes to give us some feedback and fill out this survey so we can make future events even better than today's. On a final note, I just want to take the time to thank our sponsors, our participants, our audience members, our speakers for coming today. We appreciate all of you. We know how valuable your time is, and we are grateful that you decided to spend it with us and share these experiences with us. On that note, I'm going to turn it over to our chairman, founder, and CEO, Landon Taylor, to close us out.
Thanks so much, Tennille. I've got an expression of gratitude and a three-part ask. First, on the gratitude, Al, thanks so much for just being an incredible partner with Base 11 for so long. You're always bringing things to the next level. Tennille Jones. Tennille, did what I wanted to do, which is to thank everybody who had something to do with today's success. And so since she did that, I just want to put an exclamation mark on thanking the Base 11 team led by Tennille Jones. You just did an amazing, amazing job, Tennille. And again, I've got to also thank our partners, our sponsors, and a special shout out to one of our key partners, Sigma Pi Phi fraternity, the Boule, led by Dwayne Murray. And students, early career stage adults that join us, look, you are why we do this. So we want to thank you. Now, here's my three-part ask in the spirit of keeping this work moving. Number one, you heard Tennille talk about it, the Next Frontier Conference and Expo. As she said, when we close out, after you do the survey, jump in. register. You want to get your spot. It's going to be incredible. I promise you. Number 2, Base 11 Digital. Listen, every single person, we want you to hop in, whether you are a student, an early career adult, a mentor, an ambassador. As soon as this thing is over, survey's done, there also will be a link for you to be able to register for Base 11 Digital. But don't stop there. Push it out to 10 other people. Have them jump in. And then finally, corporate partners and foundation partners in joining to support us, jumping in to be Next Frontier sponsors and partners, and or individual donors. If you are inspired by the work that we do, we ask you to join us and help support 100,000 on their pathway to the next frontier careers of the 21st century. Join us. Thanks, everybody. Have an amazing day. Can't wait to see you on this journey together. Thanks.